Thanks, Jeannie. Tonight, our main speaker is Doug. Help me welcome Doug to the stage.
God, I didn't know there was going to be so many people here. It's been a long time since I spoke here. It really has. As she likes to call herself, the warm-up speaker was my wife. So, anyway. I've taken a few notes, and so we can get through this as quickly as we can. Number one, I'll be 86 years old next month. So, yeah, thank you. And I've been sober since September the 30th, 1982. Yeah. And for you that have your pencils and paper out, that's 36 years. Actually 35 years. But anyway, I wrote a few notes so I could get through them quickly. Aside from Julia, we have 6 kids, 14 grandchildren, 4 of which are great-grandchildren. So anyway, I'm told I should have developed a hobby or something when I was younger. But anyway, a little of my history. I've been through a few wedding ceremonies. Now, if you're an alcoholic, you should not be shocked. You should be adding. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about Shirley or Sally or Betty or Dolores, but I will talk about Julia because I know something about her. All right. I joined the National Guard when I was a young man because they were giving us $25, $30 a month. And who could pass that up? And unfortunately, however, shortly after I joined the National Guard, the trouble in Korea started. That was 1950. And it wasn't very long after that before I was federalized and I was sent to Japan as part of the occupation forces. I was not alone. I make it sound like I won that war. But anyway, and I landed up in, well, first it was Japan. And I stayed in Japan for several months, and then they shipped me over to Korea. And then when I got back to the United States, I had been gone for a couple of years at that point. And I absolutely could not identify with anybody here. I was 19 years old, and I enrolled in Santa Monica City College, and first week I'm sitting in the back row of this classroom, and there was a couple of young people there, and they were talking about their girlfriends and what they had accomplished in the back seat of the Bruin Theater. So I could not handle it. I just left Korea, and there was a shooting war going on at that particular point, and I could not handle these kids who should be over there as far as I was concerned. So I went back down to Santa Monica, went to the recruiting office, and said, that, I got to go back to Korea, and I got to go back right now. It's the only time at that particular point in my life until I joined AA that I really identified with somebody. And they were just happier than hell to send me back over there. Anyway, I had a request for a story that I sometimes tell, and I'm going to tell it quickly. And I jotted it down. I had a little problem with telling the truth. And one day I was sitting in a bar in a yacht club in Marina del Rey, Santa Monica. And somebody walked in the door and said, "Hey, we need somebody to navigate a boat." Those of you who've heard the story before, I can tell that. You're laughing already. Anyway, we need somebody to fly down to Hawaii. We'll fly you down. We'll pay you. And what we want you to do is pick up a boat, 36-foot boat. And I got a crew of 5 down there. And you will be the navigator, if you know how to navigate. I knew everything. I said, certainly. They interviewed me and flew me down to Hawaii. I knew nothing about navigation. However, I did own a plastic sextant. And give you idea of how we ever made it, I will never know, but I will tell you one thing. It took us 28 days to get that boat from Aloha Yacht Harbor to Marina del Rey. And when that fog cleared and I saw that breakwater in front of me, that is when I started believing in God. Anyway, that's the story about my navigational stuff. Thank you, Francis. I took my first drink the first night that I spent in the U.S. Army. And they put us on buses in Los Angeles and drove us all the way up to what was then called Camp Cook, California. And they got off the buses and they put us into some cafeteria, some type of thing, and started bringing out the beer. That's the first drink I ever had. And I loved it. I truly did. But it was beer. And I don't know why I tell that story, but it's true. Anyway, after Korea and Japan and Hawaii and all those places, I'm drinking. And I think I've heard everything you could possibly tell. They excuse your drinking. But I came up, no, didn't. I thought so. Anyway, that was the night I took my first drink, September the 1st, 1982. And what? It's all right. I'm only 37 years off. No, that's when I took my last drink, 1982. Alcohol immediately got to me. I mean, it was something, it was part of my life, and I needed it. And with all these wives, come on, it's a problem. And I drank until, the right date now, September the 30th, 1982. And so I've been sober for 35 years. It's just a long time as far as I'm concerned. I look out at this crowd, my God. I think I was born. Never mind, I'm not going to say it. You know what I was going to say. Anyway, drinking was a problem for me because I really enjoyed it. And I liked beer, but I liked hard liquor a little better. It got you there quicker. And if anybody gets thirsty while I'm talking, it's okay to leave. But I started with VO water, and I stuck to it because I said I'm going to commit myself to this because this is going to change my life. Because my life at that time really, when my wife was talking about it, sucked. And had a daughter show up, and she's, oh, God. She's got 1 year of sobriety, and I'm so pleased, and I'm so thankful. It's unbelievable. She sent a text to us yesterday or day before saying she had her first sponsee, and she's located up in Northern California someplace. Anyway, I sound like a pretty good guy, but that's really not the truth, Francis. And I joined the Boy Scouts, and they sent us up to Sequoia National Park, California, and they had this game, and you choose sides for the game. There's only two people on a side. The person that was on my side was the daughter of the scoutmaster. And to make a long story short, when we got back to Santa Monica, I was asked to leave the Boy Scouts and don't come back. And I saw her later, and but not him. He didn't like me. I was one problem after another. They put me to military school 24/7. And I escaped twice. Unfortunately, I wasn't real good because they caught me both times and brought me back. And I mixed up my notes, Julia. Anyway, I was kicked out of the Boy Scouts. The military school threw me out. And I had this little problem, and it was I knew just about everything. Ask me anything, and I would come up with an answer. Usually it was really far-fetched. And the only thing I had a little problem with when I joined AA was this rigorous honesty stuff. And but I got there finally. It took a couple of decades to do it. I'll leave. I'm not through, but I want to leave you with something to remember. If you go to jail and you're in Southern California, ask the cops to take you to Santa Monica jail. Now, that's some good advice. I know. I had experienced just that. If you can't get to Santa Monica, go to Long Beach. No matter where you go, don't let them take you to L.A. Central. That's bad news all the way. And most of the jails around there, which I managed to screw up enough to land up with for a little while, my wife's birthday was the same month that I got sober. And I told her I'd like to announce this, I have more sobriety than she does. 2 months. And the day came when I was sober about 2 months, and it was her birthday. And I went out and bought her a gift. Now, she's looking for a lingerie or some type of jewelry or something. I got her a meat cleaver. And but it was one of the automatic ones. I thought it was really cool. And but she's never forgiven me. And we've been married 50 years. And she remembers it. Anyway, in the service, I did what everybody else does, primarily follow orders, advice, whatever. But it was sort of like everything else. I was always in trouble. Landed up at the special court martial at the end. And I took a little vacation, which the Army didn't know about, but they found out about. And that's when they caught me down in San Pedro and put me in a jail that I was in there for several days, and the only thing I can remember, whoever built that thing, was a cage inside of a building, and somebody had cut stars in the top of the cage. And military police came down from Fort Lewis, Washington, and picked me up and sent me back up to Fort Lewis, where I was stationed when I took my vacation. And by the way, I am not proud of this. So they took me back up there, and I'd like to tell you I was a movie star, but that's not quite how the story goes. My unit was playing like they were German soldiers while they made a movie called The Hell and Back with Audie Murphy. And we played the Germans. Funny thing about that is they put me on top of a hill with a guard, and nothing to drink, while everybody else was running around playing soldier down below. They took my shoelaces. I don't know if you've ever seen a pup tent. They're about that big. And they were afraid I was going to hang myself. And which, of course, I did not. But I left there, and I was put in a tank outfit in Barstow, just outside of Barstow, California. And I know absolutely nothing about tanks. And so I volunteered to jump out of airplanes. And if you've never jumped out of an airplane with a really bad hangover, you have an experience coming, I'll tell you. And the tank outfit that I had been in was the one that went under the atom bomb the first time they let it go there in Las Vegas. And so I didn't get to experience that. But the subject here is alcoholism, and I had to drink. I'm sure most of you understand that. I had to drink. I mean, it was like medicine to me. And I tried it all. And I couldn't believe when I actually, the night I got sober, I was at 26th and Broadway in Santa Monica, sitting one seat from a guy who had walked on the moon. I thought I'd arrived, and there was a number of celebrities. It's the movie area, Santa Monica and Pasadena in that area. And it locked me up again. This really gets boring now. I'm not going to keep you here much longer. Have I forgotten something? The last time I spoke at an AA meeting was about 8 years ago, and I was right here. I was much better then, I'll guarantee you. Let's see, 2 of my ex-wives have died. No, I'm not going to say that. No. Anyway, I am nowhere near the same guy that walked in 35 years ago into AA. I don't even identify with him. I'm having difficulty. I wrote all these notes out so I could say something that I would have said. And I can't believe that these things were me. Absolutely, they were me. And what? Yeah, she didn't like my talk either. So anyway, all of my friends, all of my family, all of my children, all of my grandchildren, they're all alcoholic. And I got a couple sober grandkids, but they're in their early teens. But other than that, they're all alcoholic. We have our own meetings. Anyway, I'm just taking everybody's time. I am an alcoholic. I'm a grateful alcoholic. I hate people who say that. I am a grateful alcoholic because I am sober. And I know where I was and I know where I've come from. And I'm really happy. And I hope, I see a number of young people here, I hope you stick around. Because all you have to do is show up. That's the secret, by the way, to AA. All this hullabaloo you hear, it's just show up. And one day you'll be up here wondering what the hell you're going to say next. And which happens to most of us. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Doug.